Hello everybody, Conarger here. Welcome back to Assetto Corsa. We are continuing on in our career mode with the 599XX Evo Trofeo. We have 4 races to go. We're going to do Imola and Silverstone today. I thought maybe we were going to get the new patch before doing this episode, but it looks like that was just a mistake on Kuno's behalf. They accidentally released the beta in a published Steam patch, so it's not real. We don't have it, but do know that in the near future we are apparently getting a very large patch that deals with a lot of AI issues. So we're going to kind of slow down the pace here for a little bit with this career mode. I'm just going to finish out this 599XX Evo Trofeo, which I got to say again, which is just so much fun. And then maybe I'll hold off until we get that next big patch before we start our next series. Alrighty, just going to make some quick setup changes here. The normal, just take a little bit of fuel out. 8 laps, so a pretty decently long race here. And soft tires, and I think that should do it. I actually just did a few practice laps here in the car at the track just to knock off some of the rust. So one of the things I noticed in the patch notes is they were trying to improve the starts for the AI. That's actually something I don't think is terribly bad. If anything, I mean, maybe if by starts they mean how they break into turn 1, then yes, that could use some improvement. But their starts are decent. If there was anything I would like to see them change, it's actually just to give them more variety. Because like it is now, everybody gets a perfect launch 100% of the time, besides you. So that would be nice, just to see a little variety in there. Discover to kind of let this car go down in its RPM range a little bit more than I had been. We'll make it handle a little bit better. In the tips before the race, they recommended turning on traction control for this track, which made me believe that maybe it had selectable traction control, which would make sense for a car of this caliber, but I'll be darned if I could figure out where it was or how to turn it on. So I'm guessing maybe they meant, hello, maybe they meant just in-game turning traction control on. I don't think it's completely necessary. Just going to be a little bit smarter with the right foot. It's another one of those tracks where AI particularly struggle with the braking. Okay, there's the traction control needed. Try and stay off of that runoff area. If I remember correctly, we are sitting number 2 in points. Oh, I don't know what just happened to him there. I feel like with these big heavy braking zones, we could potentially try and steal ourselves a win here. If I can just keep it pointed the right way. Imola's a big test on brakes and a big test on getting out of the turns, even more so than the modern Monza, which has much slower turns to it. But with the way those chicanes are, it's kind of a point-and-shoot type of thing, versus this is, there's a lot of trail braking necessary, like right here. You're actually braking for quote-unquote real turns. Like through here, this is a very interesting braking zone. So it's a much different kind of atmosphere than is the Monza circuit. Now Imola also has this chicane in it that was added in later. But the rest of it is much more like Imola's always been. It's always been a very fast track. Which is why you don't see fast cars here anymore. Hello. Thought I had you there. It's been a week and a half or so since I did any time in Assetto Corsa here. And I was able to pick it back up pretty quickly. particularly good. Whoa, 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 whoa. Easy now. I understand you can't brake there, Diego, but you gotta leave me some room to get by. Yeah, this car I have a particularly good feel for, I think. Stay on track. Just gotta stay up off of those runoff areas, and we'll be good. The Teflon, as we've named them. Oh, nice move there. I guess he was just getting back to the racing line, but it felt like some blocking. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Yep, just don't hit the gas while you're out there. That is my advice. Nice, okay. Obviously faster than he is. Just haven't quite found the place to do the pass just yet. Launching off these curbs. Get the feeling that these guys do indeed have the traction control. The way he's launching out of these turns. Okay, there we go. Whoop. Easy car. There. He's there. Did he do that stupid thing where he let off the gas just because I was next to him? Silly AI. Why are you so silly? This would take us about half the race to get back up front. Not bad. Now it's just a hot lapping competition. Or a staying straight competition. I think this is the first car I have been in at this track. I can say I honestly enjoy it. Like, it actually feels like a fun track. Street cars are just awful here. Anything without downforce is zero fun at this track. A little wide. That's what I mean. You can hear the wheel spin there. Alright, so we're gonna have some dead air here. Guess I'll find some things to talk about. Let's see. I know a lot of you guys are probably F1 fans, and I don't get to do much F1 talk since we're not doing our F1 co-op at the moment. But yeah, the preseason testing and everything is going on. Which is, oops, sorry, has been pretty interesting. It's a lot different than last year where we were debuting the new cars, the new V6s and everything. It seemed like last year nobody was able to really show what their car could do, besides Mercedes. They were just trying to get them running. This year it's just McLaren and Honda having those issues, which is a little bit disappointing. You would think for as long as they have been working on that engine, they had a full season of basically preparing for this season versus everybody else only had an off season. But yeah, they've been having a lot of teething issues. Whoops. What did I say about staying on track? Like I said to do it. So yeah, that's a little bit disappointing to me. I would like to see that team do well. Mercedes is once again massively dominant. They have been really sandbagging as far as I can tell. Overall, the look of the cars is probably... okay. Might be time to stop talking and start driving, huh? I'll continue this conversation in approximately one more pass. Has he gotten faster or what? Maybe I've just gotten slower. It's a distinct possibility. He's still ridiculously slow in the braking zones though, so he should be alright. Are you a Mercedes? Are you sandbagging, Diego? Don't lie to me. I'm back here. A few laps, 3 laps to get it done. We can do that. Lock them brakes up. So you can use traction control, but you can't use ABS. That makes a whole lot of sense, considering this car has ABS, and I don't think you can turn it off. I always do better following someone, especially at tracks I'm not overly familiar with. Oh, look at our delta this lap. Killing it. Probably should be able to pass him, not into the chicane, but into the last set of turns there. Not much I can do right here. Yeah, no thanks. Ouch. Well, that was weird. The car just kind of took off to the right there. Not super close, but they are super derpy, so slide right by. He's gonna have the draft. Uh-oh, no fuel. No way. Oh, they did the stupid let-off thing again. 2 laps, huh? And we're getting low fuel. I think we should be okay, but I'm going to try and short shift a little bit. Just to save some. We'll take it easy. Anyway, to try and stay on track. As I was saying, the look of the newer F1 cars is certainly better. It's been widely documented in the community, in the Reddits, and the forums, and the whatnots. The liveries this year suck. It's like they just forgot how to make an interesting F1 car livery, and they just keep sticking to the same like package every year, and it's not interesting. I don't know why that is. I mean, not that it particularly matters, but I think when you pair the fact the cars are not... We're not in a beautiful era of F1 cars. We haven't really had one of those since, I would say, 06, 07. Ever since then, they've just been getting kind of uglier and uglier. Which is all relative now. In the future, they could be regarded as better looking than we see them as now, especially if they keep getting uglier. Like, I never found the early 90s F1 cars to be particularly beautiful or striking or anything like that. They were just pure machines. That's why you go back and you feel nostalgic for those cars. They certainly weren't lookers. I've seen an MP44 in a museum, and it's staggeringly simple looking. Like, there's nothing artistic about the car. It's just a pure engineering standpoint that makes that car interesting. Versus, like, I'm trying to think of the years. Would have been an 08? I'm not sure. It could have been 08. Would have been the last of the super aero cars. Like we had the BMW, one of my favorites, the BMW Sauber. Yeah, I think so. With the wing that went over the wing, and the front wing that was like a loop over the front of the nose. Those were just very sculpted cars, and that certainly made them much more of an interesting thing to look at. You didn't necessarily need a cool paint job. But if the car's going to be as boring as they are now, and they all kind of look the same, you would think somebody would step up and try and make some cool-looking paint schemes. Force India usually does. Force India is probably the best of them. The Lotus is pretty good-looking, but it's not terribly unique. It's kind of the same thing they've stuck with for years. We had enough fuel to finish the race. We won. Hooray, I guess. It's kind of a blowout there with the crappy AI. Oh well, we'll try again next race. Hopefully they do a little bit better there. Alrighty, we are now on to Silverstone Full. Let us go ahead and make our typical changes. And just to go to softs, and I'm just going to take a little bit of fuel out. We cut pretty close there last race. I'd rather not do that again. I think this lap is a little shorter. I didn't do any practicing at this one, so it may not be quite as competitive here. Not quite as many heartbreaking, easy passing opportunities here either. Yeah, we only gained a couple into one. Is there still somebody to my left? No, I think we're clear now. Remember those easy passing opportunities I was talking about? I lied. Once again, trying to going wide. Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to keep it in lower gears to keep it from spinning the tires. Even for a Ferrari, this thing has tons of bottom end to it, so no real loss in letting it go down the RPM range a little bit. Dominique's in second. Oh no, that's okay. They're in the right order. It is Diego who is in the lead in points. I'm only 6 points behind him now, so I've got to try and click off a few more wins if I'm going to take a championship here. We have already done our series goal. Just got that achievement after the last race. This car is just so much fun to drive. It's just so responsive to things that you do. I think that's what really makes a car fun to me. It's not necessarily that the car has to be oversteery or understeery or anything like that. There's not a power threshold that makes it fun. As long as a car has options, basically, and I don't mean your power windows, your cruise controls, your heated seats. I mean options of getting the car to do things. This car I can drive with a throttle. You can use the throttle to really kind of drive it off into oversteer to get it out of a turn. You can really crank some wheel into this car and it will accept it. I guess with that active arrow helps that. It's got plenty of grip. You know, some cars, when you get into an understeer situation, like the Mercedes that we were racing earlier, they kind of have that problem where you're in understeer. Oh well, get used to it. You're going to be understeering for the rest of this turn. This car is not doing that. Or on the flip side, oversteer. You know, you have a fleeting chance of saving it if you do get it sideways. I guess is improved with any kind of car that has massive wings on it. See, like that. Even with my probably overzealous corrections there, it still kept pointing the right way. I really do think it handles in some ways better than the GT3 cars that everybody goes gaga over. Everybody loves GT3 cars all of a sudden. In many ways I find those cars to be kind of awkward to drive. they're a little underpowered, if you will. We'll just carry this conversation right through this pass for the lead, you know, because we're like that. Yeah, they seem to have so much mechanical grip, so much aero grip. They're very lightweight. That they seem a little down on power, so you can't really do a whole lot with the old gas pedal to make the car want to do things. Now there was certainly a time when GT cars like that had gotten too powerful and just flat out too fast. So I understand why they have to be the way they are. It's just maybe not quite the style of car that I love. To me, the pinnacle of GT racing, at least in the modern era, would have been that late 90s, early 2000s era of GT2. Those cars were probably near prototype speeds of today. They had insane horsepower numbers. And anyone that has driven one will tell you they were an absolute handful to drive. And I think that's kind of how it should be. If you're at the top tier of any style of racing, it should be extremely difficult to drive. Not that a GT3 car is something I could go hop in and perform well in, but I feel as though I could actually drive one. A GT1 car, I'm not sure I could even drive something like that. Or a GT2 car, sorry, of that era. Some of that has to do with the fact that these modern GT cars all have traction control and ABS and all of that stuff on them. Now that only helps so much. Even a traction control era F1 car is still more than your average Joe Schmo can drive. Because you just absolutely can't drive them fast enough to keep them on the track. My random general stance on GT3 cars. It's so cool. I still love my favorite part of the GT3 era we're in right now is the diversity. Manufacturers are really behind it, which is very cool. But I think they're behind it because it's probably such an easy thing to achieve. They're actually detuning a lot of those cars to get them to perform at GT3 spec. So it's a very accessible level of racing, which is very good for competition. There's been a lot of talk in the endurance racing world of a bunch of shakeups to do with the prototypes and stuff like that. Obviously here in the States we have IMSA, the Tudor Series, which has just recently formed and is kind of trying to push wide here. No, it's trying to rekindle the connection between international sports car racing and American sports car racing. Unfortunately, they're taking this really bizarre approach over in the World Endurance Championship and FIA and all of that. Really bizarre approach to the prototype racing, especially LMP2. Nobody losing the nose of this car a little bit. The understeer that you couldn't correct the thing I was talking about. That was it. Yeah, nobody that I know of in the circles that I follow really understands what their motive is. They're trying to basically turn LMP2 into a spec racing series. It's kind of it's America's top tier and Europe's, second tier racing division or class. It's kind of a slap in the face to turn that into a spec class. Not completely spec, but it's mostly. And the American audience certainly, and American manufacturers and all of that, don't want to see that. And I don't think many people do. It's got to be one of those money things. Somebody is set to make a ton of money off of these spec cars, and they're bribing for them. I get that feeling. I just hope it doesn't end up with another one of these huge divides in sports car racing where America breaks off into its own entity and we have no relevance with Le Mans or anything like that anymore. That would kind of be a shame. But on the flip side, some of those eras have been fantastic. Go back to the Camel GT days. That was kind of a break-off series, and it certainly did quite well. But those were still Le Mans relevant cars, so times are different now. I don't know that you could survive as a independent entity. Grand Am certainly did it for a while, but there's only so much money to push around, and most manufacturers want to be a Le Mans. They don't want to be a Daytona, so it's real hard to divide the series like that. I would love to see it someday at a point where the same cars or the same series races at Le Mans, Daytona, Sebring, Road Atlanta, you know, all of these huge international races. Mount Panorama, Bathurst has become a huge endurance race. I would love to see this a real world endurance championship again. Actually travels the entire world and isn't just a European endurance championship and an American endurance championship. Easy for me to say. Oversteer, understeer, all the steer. Oh, we got 2 laps to go left? Well, what else can we talk about? I don't know why these races have been so easy. The other ones have not been so easy. I guess they've just been at two tracks I'm particularly good at. I may bump the difficulty up a little bit for those last 2 races. It's difficult to do that because, pun intended, because you never know. Sometimes the AI really fast, and I can't even keep up with them. So it makes it difficult to keep them at the same, or to not keep them at the same percentage, because I can end up screwing yourself. I bump it up to 97, and all of a sudden they'll be 5 seconds a lap faster than me. Or I could drop it down to 93, and I would be 10-15 seconds ahead of them. Definitely need a little bit more predictability on their performance. I mean, they seem pretty set in making this have a full offline mode. So they better make some strides in the balancing area before the next patch. Which was a huge patch that took quite a while to download, so it's disappointing that they basically made everybody re-download it right afterwards. Yeah, somebody must have accidentally pushed a beta build out to public. I didn't see anybody. I was looking to see if there was anybody that captured maybe some video of how the AI were performing in this beta build, but I didn't find any of that. Hopefully it's better. The changelog is huge, so, and that was only a partial changeload, so certainly a very large patch on the horizon with the Dream Pack release. I haven't decided if I want to go ahead and buy the Dream Pack when it comes out. I guess it's going to depend how much it costs, what the old bank account looks like at the moment. Considering I just bought a car, is not looking that great. Not looking that great at all. But to have the new laser scan Nürburgring and a bunch of new cars would be nice. Curious if they're going to incorporate those cars into the career mode at all. I'd imagine they would have their own branch. I guess that would be the only fair way to do it. Fuel line on, I think we got plenty. In good shape. I definitely think these soft tires have seen better days. It must be qualifying spec. Only making it 7 laps before they start to run off. Whoops, 204s. Try and focus on this lap and see if maybe I can get that down a little bit. Even with these less than ideal tires. Not with moments like that, I'm not. That's kind of how you have to drive this car. I just took the wheel and threw it all the way to the left. Eventually it's gonna turn. Even that, I mean, just driving it in way too deep. Somehow it manages to pull it off. It's gonna ruin me though when I get into another car that doesn't have this level of performance. I don't remember what's next. But I'm probably going to be terrible. Well, we got a green delta. So we're doing something right. That was a little deep. By a little, I mean way, 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 way deep. Goodbye, green delta. It was nice knowing you. Oh well. Just a few more turns to go. Oh! Oh no. Oh no. This is bad news. I don't have... Oh crap. Well, that sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say I ran these tires off. Probably should not have tried to go for a fast lap on the last lap. These are the things you do when you get bored of being out front. Alrighty, well, on that bombshell, I think we're gonna close this episode out. Thanks as always for watching. I will see you next time.